My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is March 18, 2022. I already did 2 recordings, but I was looking for something on Twitter, and I came across Arnold Schwarzenegger video. I don't know if I'm gonna get black for it. Maybe I'll just put it by itself. So I want to listen to it now. So I said, let me just record it now. So let's go on Twitter. This is it.
Hello everybody, and thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm sending this message through various different channels to reach my dear Russian friends and the Russian soldiers serving in Ukraine. I'm speaking to you today because there are things that are going on in the world that are being kept from you, terrible things that you should know about. But before I talk about the harsh realities, let me just tell you about the Russian who became my hero. In 1961, when I was 14 years old, a very good friend of mine invited me to come to Vienna and to watch the World Weightlifting Championships. I was in the audience when Yuri Petrovich Vlasov won the World Championship title, becoming the first human being to lift 200 kilograms over his head. And somehow a friend of mine got me backstage. All of a sudden there I was, a 14-year-old boy, standing in front of the strongest man in the world. I couldn't believe it. He reached out to shake my hand. I mean, I still had a boy's hand. He had this powerful man's hand that swallowed mine. But he was kind, and he smiled at me. I will never forget that day. Never. I went home and I put his photo above my bed to inspire me when I started lifting weights. My father told me to take down that picture and to find a German or an Austrian hero. He got really angry, and we argued back and forth. He didn't like Russians because of his experience in the Second World War. You see, he was injured at Leningrad, where the Nazi army that he was part of did vicious harm to the great city and to its brave people. But I did not take the photograph down.
This is something that, what's his name? William should listen to, because he doesn't even know what have gone into the continent. All right, let's continue. I have to stop somewhere.
No, because it didn't matter to me what flag Yuri Vlasov carried. My connections to Russia didn't stop there, by the way. Oh, it actually deepened when I traveled there with bodybuilding and for my movies and met all my Russian fans. And on one of those trips, I remember, I met Yuri Vlasov once again. It was in Moscow during the filming of Red Heat, which was the first American movie allowed to film in Red Square. Now, he and I spent the whole day together. He was so thoughtful, so kind, and so smart, and, of course, very giving. He gave me this beautiful blue coffee cup, and ever since then I've been drinking my coffee out of every morning. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all of those things is that ever since I was 14 years old, I've had nothing but affections and respect for the people of Russia.
You know what, that remind me a conversation that I had on my comment section where someone, I guess, wanted me to see her or his point of view, and I was not contemplating, but I told that person, but I have not seen what you're telling me, so therefore I cannot change my perspective. And I'm very consciously aware certain people's experience, not to discredit them, but if I'm talking about certain things that I've seen, I could only talk about it. So because of what you've seen and I have not seen, I cannot shape my perspective based on your perspective. This kind of thing. I don't know. This is what crossed my mind, but let's continue.
Strength and the heart of the Russian people have always inspired me. And that is why I hope that you will let me tell you the truth about the war in Ukraine and what is happening there. No one likes to hear something critical of the government, I understand that. But as a longtime friend of the Russian people, I hope that you will hear what I have to say. And may I remind you that I speak with the same heartfelt concern as I spoke to the American people when there was an attempted insurrection on January 6th last year.
That's true.
When a wild crowd...
That's true. He came out and spoke. I don't know if I shared that, but he did. I saw that video. That is true. Okay? And let's not forget, he was the governor of California. All right? So let's continue.
...was storming the U.S. Capitol, trying to overthrow our government. You see, there are moments like this that are so wrong, and then we have to speak up. And it's exactly the same with your government.
Wow.
I know that your government has told you that this is a war to denazify Ukraine. Denazify Ukraine? This is not true. Ukraine is a country with a Jewish president, I might add, whose father's 3 brothers were all murdered by the Nazis.
Wow.
You see, Ukraine did not start this war. Neither did nationalists or Nazis. Those in power in the Kremlin started this war. This is not the Russian people's war. No. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, what you should know is that 141 nations at the UN voted that Russia was the aggressor and called for it to remove its troops immediately. Only 4 countries in the entire world voted with Russia. That is a fact. See, the world has turned against Russia because of its actions in Ukraine. Whole city blocks have been flattened by Russian artillery and bombs, including a children's hospital and a maternity hospital. 3 million Ukrainian refugees, mainly women, children, and elderly, fled their country, and many more are trying to seek to get out. It is a humanitarian crisis. Because of its brutality, Russia is now isolated from the society of nations. You're also not being told the truth about the consequences of this war on Russia itself. I regret to tell you that thousands of Russian soldiers that have been killed. They have been caught between Ukrainians fighting for their homeland and the Russian leadership fighting for conquest. Massive amounts of Russian equipment have been destroyed or abandoned. The destruction that Russian bombs are raining down upon innocent civilians has so outraged the world that the strongest global economic sanctions ever taken have been imposed on your country. Those who don't deserve it on both sides of the war will suffer. The Russian government has lied not only to the citizens, but to its soldiers. Some of the soldiers...
In one of my video, I think YouTube was giving me a hard time. I don't know if it's even public yet. And when the start of the war, I said something in one of my videos. I was like, I don't even think the soldiers know what's going on. And then I sent a prayer to the soldiers, you know. My goodness, this is sad. And the worst thing is, same kind of behavior is happening in other countries. Third world countries. Nobody's reporting it. There's a lot of atrocity that's going around the globe. All right? So my prayers goes out to those other countries who are not being heard. And that young athlete, black athlete, what's her name? Brittany, the Russian captured her. I don't know. I haven't heard much about it, but I plan on doing a video that includes some of the tweets in reference to her. But let's listen.
Soldiers were told they were going to fight Nazis. Some were told that the Ukrainian people would greet them like heroes. And some were told that they were simply going on exercise. They didn't even know that they were going into war.
Yep.
And some were told that they were there to protect ethnic Russians in Ukraine. None of this is true. The fact is that Russian soldiers have faced fierce resistance from the Ukrainians who want to protect their families and their country. When I see babies being pulled out of ruins, I think that I'm watching a documentary about the horrors of the Second World War, not the news of the day. Now let me tell you, when my father arrived in Leningrad, he was all pumped up on the lies of his government. And when he left Leningrad, he was broken, physically and mentally. He lived the rest of his life in pain. Pain from a broken back, pain from the shrapnel that always reminded him of these terrible years, and pain from the guilt that he felt. To the Russian soldiers listening to this broadcast, you already know much of the truth that I've been speaking. You have seen it with your own eyes. I don't want you to be broken like my father.
Wow.
This is not the war to defend Russia that your grandfathers or your great-grandfathers fought. This is an illegal war.
Wow.
Your lives, your limbs, your futures are being sacrificed for a senseless war condemned by the entire world. Now, to those in power in the Kremlin, let me just ask you, why would you sacrifice those young men for your own ambitions? To the soldiers who are listening to this, remember that 11 million Russians have family connections to Ukraine. So every bullet you shoot a brother or a sister. Every bomb or every shell that falls is falling not on an enemy, but on a school, or a hospital, or a home. I know that the Russian people are not aware of such things are happening.
Yeah, they don't.
So I urge the Russian people and the
And the thing is, I did in one of my videos, I compared the Russian people with the UK citizen. The UK citizens are full of information, but yet when they vote out of spite and they vote for the wrong choice. But once the Russian people know the truth, their mindset completely change. They stand up, they risk their life for what's right. This is something people need to remember. Okay, I don't know if many of these things are being shown on other TV. Like I said, I don't have cable, but this is what I've seen. People holding sign, risking their lives. Women are being arrested just for holding a blank sign. So this is one of the best message that I think any soldiers or any politician could put for the stop of this war, because Arnold is very well respected. And what really not bothers, but that what really hurtful to see this is that the same kind of behavior, wars, atrocities are going to black and brown countries, but nobody say anything. Nobody say anything. But let's continue.
Russian soldiers in Ukraine to understand the propaganda and the disinformation that you're being told. I ask you to help me spread the truth. Let your fellow Russians know the human catastrophe that is happening in Ukraine. And to President Putin I say, you started this war. You're leading this war. You can stop this war. Now, let me close with a message to all of the Russians who have been protesting on the streets against the invasion of Ukraine.
This is what I'm saying. Once they started knowing the truth, they risked their lives. They risked their lives to protest against the war. And then when you compare it with what's going on in UK, I don't know how the Prime Minister is still in office. But anyway, I'm going to move it back slightly.
Let your fellow Russians know the human catastrophe that is happening in Ukraine. And to President Putin I say, you started this war. You're leading this war. You can stop this war. Now, let me close with a message to all of the Russians who have been protesting on the streets against the invasion of Ukraine. The world has seen your bravery. We know that you have suffered the consequences of your courage. You have been arrested, you have been jailed, and you have been beaten. You are my new heroes. You have the strength of Yuri Petrovich Vlasov. You have the true heart of Russia. My dear Russian friends, may God bless you all.
Wow. Let's see. Let me pause it. Wow. You can, and anyone knows, also find this on my new Telegraph channel, if that's easier. All right, here is the text of the video. All right, that's in different language. Arnold Schwarzenegger message regarding the January 6th attack. Oh, that's good. Let me share it with that as well, because I remember watching it. Let's listen to it.
As an immigrant to this country, I would like to say a few words to my fellow Americans and to our friends around the world about the events of recent days. Now, I grew up in Austria. I'm very aware of Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. It was a night of rampage against the Jews carried out in 1938 by the Nazi equivalent of the Proud Boys.
Damn, he's a freaking walking historian. He's telling you his experience. And this is the thing I cannot understand. People who have had freedom for so long, they don't know the treasure that they have. And I've said it way before. It's like some of the things you see going on in Europe, the racism and all of that, before all of this war. And I remember saying, these people have been living such a good life. They do not know, the life have been so good to them, they don't even know what to do with themselves. But this is, I don't know, maybe this is a wake-up call for them. Sometimes there have to be some casualties in order for others to see the light, the life that they have, to understand freedom. They should cherish it. All right, so let's continue.
Wednesday was the day of broken glass right here in the United States. The broken glass was in the windows of the United States Capitol. But the mob did not just shatter the windows of the Capitol. They shattered the ideals we took for granted. They did not just break down the doors of the building that housed American democracy. They trampled the very principles on which our country was founded. Now, I grew up in the ruins of a country that suffered the loss of its democracy. I was born in 1947, 2 years after the Second World War. Growing up, I was surrounded by broken men drinking away their guilt over their participation in the most evil regime in history.
Yeah, this his father when he was growing up. Phew, this is hard.
Not all of them were rabid anti-Semites or Nazis. Many just went along, step by step, down the road. They were the people next door. Now, I've never shared this so publicly because it is a painful memory. But my father would come home
Yep, there it is.
drunk, once or twice a week, and he would scream and hit us and scare my mother. I did not hold him totally responsible because our neighbor was doing the same thing to his family.
Wow.
And so was the next neighbor over. I heard it with my own ears and saw it with my own eyes.
This is the thing. You can dispute what you're seeing and hear. I've been saying this. My goodness. But anyway, I'm sorry. I have to stop in between so I don't get flagged.
They were in physical pain from the shrapnel in their bodies and in emotional pain from what they saw or did. It all started with lies and lies and lies and intolerance. So being from Europe, I've seen firsthand how things can spin out of control. I know there is a fear in this country and all over the world that something like this could happen right here. Now, I do not believe it is, but
It's very scary. They're aiming toward that direction. Yeah, they are aiming toward that direction.
I do believe that we must be aware of the dire consequences of selfishness and cynicism. President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. He sought a coup by misleading people with lies. My father and our neighbors were misled also with lies, and I know where such lies lead. President Trump is a failed leader.
Wow.
He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet. But what are we to make of those elected officials who have enabled his lies and his treachery? I will remind them of what Teddy Roosevelt said. Patriotism means to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president. Now, John F. Kennedy wrote a book called Profiles in Courage. A number of members of my own party, because of their own spinelessness, would never see their names in such a book, I guarantee you.
Wow.
They're complicit with those who carried the flag of self-righteous insurrection into the Capitol. But it did not work. Our democracy held firm. Within hours, the Senate and the House of Representatives were doing the people's business and certifying the election of President-elect Biden. What a great display of democracy. Now, I grew up Catholic. I went to church, to Catholic school. I learned the Bible and my catechism and all of this. And from those days, I remember a phrase that is relevant today: a servant's heart. It means serving something larger than yourself. See, what we need right now from our elected representatives is a public servant's heart. We need public servants that serve something larger.
You know who I'm thinking of when he said that? Princess Diana, Harry, and Meghan. My goodness, it's very emotional.
Than their own power or their own party. We need public servants who will serve higher ideals. The ideals in which this country was founded, the ideals that other countries look up to. Now, over the past few days, friends from all over the world have been calling me in distraught and worried about us as a nation. One woman was in tears about America. Wonderful tears of idealism about what America should be.
The sad thing is, the mind of many Americans are very weak, easily influenced. It's unbelievable how many Americans were willing to go down, let the country go down in the path of Trump. I cannot believe this. But anyway.
Those tears should remind us of what America means to the world. Now, I've told everyone who has called that as heartbreaking as all of this is, America will come back from these dark days and shine our lights once again.
And this is why I think China knows. China did not get involved in our election. I think they tried to have China get involved into our democracy. China knows even though we are at our knees, at some point we will get up. They didn't want to deal with us when we're all on our feet. So they just didn't do that. But anyway, let's continue.
Now you see this sword? This is the Conan sword. Now here's the thing about swords. The more you temper a sword, the stronger it becomes. The more you pound it with a hammer and then heat it in the fire and then thrust it into the cold water and then pound it again and plunge it into the fire and into the water, the more often you do that, the stronger it becomes. I'm not telling you all this because I wanted to become an expert sword maker, but our democracy is like the steel of this sword. The more it is tempered, the stronger it becomes. Our democracy has been tempered by wars, injustices, and insurrections. I believe, as shaken as we are by the events of recent days, we will come out stronger because we now understand what can be lost.
That's
we
right.
need reforms, of course, so that this never ever happens again. We need to hold accountable the people that brought us to this unforgivable point. And we need to look past ourselves, our parties and disagreements, and put our democracy first. And we need to heal.
That's right.
Together from the drama of what has just happened. We need to heal not as Republicans or as Democrats, but as Americans. Now, to begin this process, no matter what your political affiliation is, I ask you to join me in saying to President-elect Biden, President-elect Biden, we wish you great success as our president. If you succeed, our nation succeeds. We support you with all our hearts as you seek to bring us together. And to those who think they can overturn the United States Constitution, know this: you will never win. President-elect Biden, we stand with you today, tomorrow, and forever in defense of our democracy from those who would threaten it. May God bless all of you, and may God bless America.
Man, as you think of this, the people who did the hard work to make President Biden where he's at, Stacey Abrams, she came to mind as I was listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger, because it was a lot of work. It wasn't easy to get President Biden elected. I've said this before. Europe needs to take a lot of minorities for the president we have to prevent this from happening. And I really thank Arnold Schwarzenegger to speak up when it really matters. He's a great human being. I'm not going to his personal life, that's completely different. But when it comes to these kind of things, he's experienced war, he's seen it, and he had to let Americans know what you are letting go. Alright, so I'm not going to go to the comment, and I came across it and I thought I'd share it with you. So that's it.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better.